Hello everyone, welcome to It's Crochet O'Clock. My name is Stephanie and today we are going to be working on the half motifs for Pip and Poppycock's Gypsy Queen shawl. You should be caught all the way up and have completed all of your full motifs for this pattern. Now we're going to be straightening this edge off up here at the top. As with the other videos in this tutorial, or this series of tutorials, I am using Classique by Stylecraft. It's cotton 4-ply yarn, and that is what Pip and Poppycock used in her pattern and in her example. And I am using a 3.25 millimeter Clover hook. So this is our example. This is not a full size of the shawl. You should have 13 rows up either side, depending on where you decided to stop at. You know, your height, you may need to add a couple more rows, or if you're short, then you may need to shorten it down a few, but the premise is the same for all of them. So to get right into this motif, this half motif, we are going to begin just as we did the full motifs. We're going to start with a magic ring, or you can chain 4 and then join to make a loop if you're not comfortable with them. I work in double magic rings, so I am just going to wrap the yarn around my fingers 3 times, hold it tight, slip my hook under, grab that 3rd loop, and then I like to spin it around. I showed you this in the full motifs, but I'm just going to show you again. Spin it around and then grab that working yarn right there and pull it through. Just like that. And I like to keep my fingers on it so I don't lose it. First step is to chain 3, which is 1, 2, and 3. And now we are going to place 8 double crochets into this ring or this loop. So here is 1. The first couple are always tricky when you're working in magic loops. There's 1. And then 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I'm just going to pull up on this a little bit because we need to close this ring. Turn this around. Okay, so with the single magic loop, you just have to pull on your cord and it'll tighten it all down. But with a double, you have to be super careful and you have to pay attention because we have these 2 loops here, and a lot of people just want to drag on this tail and they end up popping their yarn because you can't work it like that. You have to do them one at a time. So look at these rings right here carefully. I'm going to pull on one of them and see how that edge right here, look at the top right there, you see how that's pulling in there? Well, I'm going to pull from the opposite direction over here, and what that's going to do is it's going to close the other one, which is what we want. So we're just going to close that, and then once you get that one tightened, you can pull on this one and it will pull right out. And there we go. Now with the full motifs, get that tail out of the way. Nice long tail so I can weave it in so my work doesn't come undone at the end. That's important. Now with the full motifs, we were working in rounds. This one we're working in rows. So that was row 1. Now we are going to turn our work, and to begin round 2, or row 2 rather, excuse me, we're going to chain 5. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now this counts as our first double crochet plus our chain 2. So because this is counting as a stitch, it takes this place right here. We're going to place a double crochet in the next stitch. And then we are going to chain 2. Now we're going to place a double crochet in the next stitch. And we are going to repeat this all the way across. Double crochet, chain 2. And then double crochet, chain 2. If you're wondering about the written pattern for this shawl, you can check the description box below. I will have all of Pip and Poppycock's information down there. Her website, her Facebook group, my website, my Facebook group, all of that good stuff. But the written pattern is at Pip and Poppycock's website. Chain 2. Here we go, we need this last one is kind of tricky for me sometimes. So this last one, this was our chain 3 from when we started the first row, and we need to place 1 there as well. So we're going to chain 2, and then we are going to simply place a double crochet into the top of that chain 3. And that is row 2. For row 3, we will turn our work again, and we are going to chain 9. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Grab myself some more yarn here. Now we are going to work our treble clusters, and we're just going to go straight into a treble cluster into this chain 2 space. So we will yarn over twice, insert our hook into that chain 2 space, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and we are going to pause right there, yarn over 2 more times, insert, pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, pause again, yarn over twice, insert your hook, pull up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So at the end you should have 4 loops on your hook. That's how you know you've done it correct. Yarn over and pull through all 4. So that's our first treble cluster. We're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we're going to place another treble cluster in the next chain 2 space. So repeat everything that we just did with the other cluster. And chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Another treble cluster in the next chain 2 space. we have 3 clusters, so we need to do one more and then we're going to create our corner. So let's chain 5 one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to work one more treble cluster right there. And I already need more yarn. Boy, yarn goes quick, doesn't it? So we're going right there. Okay, so we have 4 clusters on that side separated by chain 5s. Now we're going to chain 7. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now we're going to kind of go in reverse. We're going to place a cluster right here, chain 5, cluster, chain 5. And I am going to work that with you. These clusters are always tricky when you're coming off of a long chain. Chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, cluster, and then chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, cluster, and now we are just going to need one more cluster. Sorry, I had to get more yarn. 2, 3, 4, 5, and this last cluster in this space. 1, 2, and there is the third one. Okay, now we are going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and now we are going to place a treble in the double crochet. Remember, whenever we started this, it was a double crochet and then a chain 2 from the previous row. So what you're going to do is you are going to count up 1, 2, and then 3. There is my third chain, and we are going to place a treble in that third chain space. Oop, that's not where I want to be. There we go. Because that's the top of our double crochet that we made. So there's the treble, and this is what it's looking like so far. Now this row, the fourth row, is of course the joining row because this is a join as you go shawl. So what I'm going to do is I am going to bring over our example that we've been working on, and I'm going to flip it upside down just so I can get to the square. Here, I'll show you what it looks like. This was our base square. This was square 1, square 2, 3, 4, and then 5. You should have a whole lot more than this right now, but I just wanted you to know where we were at. Now this half motif is going to go right here. So we're only going to be connecting right here. So this first one is going to be a little bit different, but I will show you how to connect the inside motifs as well. So once again, we're going to turn our work and we're going to chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now this counts as a double crochet plus a chain 7. So keep in mind that this motif is a little bit different than the full motifs that we have worked previously. This is also going to be a corner space. So whenever you get to round 4 and you're in the centers, you're always going to be working on a join because of where it's at. So the first step after you've done your chain 10 is you are going to place 7 double crochets in this big loopy space right there. So here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now this is going to be our, down here is our point because this is our corner that we created with the chain 7. So this is our new outside on the border. So we are going to insert our hook into that next chain 5 space and simply make a single crochet. We're going to pin down that little fan there. Now we're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Move into the next chain space and place a single crochet. Chain 7 one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and whoop, that's 7. Now for, oop, nope, we're not at the center yet. We still have to pin this down. So single crochet in the next chain space. And now we are at our corner. So we are going to place 7 double crochets. This particular corner is just like the motif. There's 2, 3, 4, the full motif rather. 5, 6, and 7. Now we are going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And we're going to place 7 more double crochets in the center. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with this if you're at this point in the video. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. So now we're going to single crochet in that next chain space. And now here we have a join coming, and we're going to join just the same way that we were joining the other ones. It's going to be the same. Normally it would be a chain 7 like it was over here. Excuse me. It would be a chain 7 like it was over here if it was on the outside, but because it's on the inside, we are going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We are going to pick up this loop and slip stitch to it. That's going to count as our 4th chain. Now we are going to chain, that's 5, 6, and 7. And then we will single crochet into the next chain space to pin that down. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now we are going to go after the second loop there. Grab that, slip stitch, counts as 4, and then 5, 6, and 7. And now we will single crochet right there. Now we need to place 7 double crochets right here. Just go straight into it. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now we need to create our loop. This loop right here, we need to create one just like we have over here on this side. So to do that, we are going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we are going to double crochet right into the loop, not into one of the chains, just right into the loop there. And now you will fasten off. Make sure you leave yourself yarn so you can weave it in at the end. And there we go. Now we have our loop there. Just like the other border motifs, we are going to pin these two together because this is an outside border and we don't want it flopping around all willy-nilly. So we are going to chain that, or stitch marker it rather. I'm having issues speaking this evening. So this is the way that it will be sitting. You can see how this will be straight across once it's blocked out. And now we need to create the half motif to go in the center. And I have already worked up this half motif. This is row 1 rather, row 2, and then row 3. So I am just up to row 4. Let me get my hook in there and get this stitch marker off. So I did this for ease so I could just show you guys quickly. You will be turning it just like you've worked on your other ones, but because it's only a half motif, if you remember when we were working these, we started here and then we would do our chain 7s for round 4, and then we would work a point, and then we would do the chain 7s, and then we would work half a point, connect, and then half the point, and then there's connecting with the chains. Everything down here was connecting. Well, that's the half of the motif that we're working on. So we are connecting everything here. So this first chain 10, if you're reading along with the pattern, it counts as a double crochet plus a chain 7, and that chain 7 is where our point is. So we need to connect that to right there. So what you're going to do is you're basically just going to chain 7, 1, 2, 3, that counts as a double crochet, 1, 2, 3, chain 6, sorry, not chain 7. On our 7th, we will slip stitch to the corner of the half motif that we just created, and that slip stitch is going to be our 7th stitch. So there is 7, and now we will chain 3 more times, 8, 9, and 10. So now we are going to place 7 double crochets in this loop right there. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. Now this part, as if you were working the regular full motifs, we're going to do the exact same thing. Insert your hook into the chain space, single crochet, chain 3, and then we are going to grab this first loop without losing your hook. Let me try this again. There we go. Chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Now single crochet in the next chain space, chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Now we are going to slip stitch, and then chain 3 more times, 2, 3, single crochet, just like the full motifs. Now we're going to work a corner, the bottom corner. Let me lay this back out flat, and remember, horizontally and then vertically. See that piece of yarn there, and I can't get it. There we go. So we are going to want to connect to right there with our new corner that we're making right here. So we are just going to work into this chain 7 space, 7 double crochets. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. And now we will chain 3, 1, 2, 3. We are going to pick up this corner, insert our hook, slip stitch. That is our 4th, that counts as our 4th chain. So there's 5, 6, and then 7. Now we need 7 more double crochets to finish off this corner in that same space. I'm sorry if my stitch markers are being naughty. They're noisy, aren't they? There's 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and then 7. Now we're going to single crochet in the next chain space, chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. Now we are moving on to another motif. We are going to be connecting right there. So I'm just going to pick up this chain space and slip stitch around it. That counts as my 4th chain. So there's 5, 6, and 7. I'm going to anchor that down to the next chain space we have here. And then chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Grab that second loop, slip stitch. That counts as 4, 5, 6, and 7. We are going to anchor down one more time. And now we are going to place 7 double crochets in this loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now we need to create the loop at the end, so our next motif will have something to attach to. So we are going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And now we are going to double crochet into that same loop space. And then fasten off. So that is how you work the half motifs and how you connect them. So what you'll need to do now is you will need to work these half motifs all the way across the top of your border. If you're following along exactly with the pattern, you should have 13 of them, I believe, all the way across. And then the next time we see each other will be for the border walkthrough, which will be video number 4, and I will also be doing a bonus after the border instruction for those of you who need help with fringe, if you would like. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.